All right, everybody, we're awaiting a quorum, so bear with us. As soon as we have 7 people, then we will start the hearing. Okay, everybody, we have a quorum now, so I'm going to call this Judiciary Non Civil full meeting to order, and I am chairing the meeting in place of Chairman Golick today. And so we have 4 bills up, and I anticipate a quick meeting. I think everybody here has places to be at 2 o'clock. So we're going to start with House Bill 890, which is LC 297835. Chairman Fleming, why don't you go ahead and present your bill?
One simple thing: it makes it a misdemeanor to use the emergency or fire door of a retail establishment to commit the crime of shoplifting. Shoplifting, as the testimony was revealed in subcommittee, is a huge economic problem across the nation, not only in Georgia. When there are now organized groups that are putting together shoplifting gangs, I guess you would say, to go into various stores and steal things. And the one of the methods du jour is to use the fire door now instead of walking out the front with it. Not only when you go out that fire door do you set the alarm off and you send potentially everybody in the store into a frenzy, but as it happens more and more, people it's more dangerous. People quit paying attention to it. And so the Retail Association, in working with our prosecutors in trying to how to combat this, a suggestion has been made go ahead and make that a separate misdemeanor to use that door when you're shoplifting, and that's all the bill in front of you does, and I'd be happy to answer any questions for you.
I believe Minority Leader, or number 8.
Is that me? Hold on. I gotta put my glasses on. Okay, that's me. So is it currently now legal to use the emergency exit in the commission of shoplifting?
It is not a crime. It's a crime to shoplift, but not a separate misdemeanor to go out that door. What they want to do is send the signal to these organized groups that are doing this. Hey, you use that emergency room door, you're going to tack on one more misdemeanor when we catch you.
Can I have a follow-up question? So generally, the assumption is that if you make going out the exit door a misdemeanor, that if anybody shoplifts, they will think twice before going out the door and then choose to go out the front door?
And the answer is yes, and here's why. These groups are so organized, the prosecutors will tell you, they give you a list of exactly what they want you to steal, and they make sure it stays under the $500 amount so you don't get hit with a felony. They are extremely organized in how they're stealing from our retailers in the state, and yes, they will. The word will get out amongst them that, hey, if you make me go out the emergency door, I'm going to get hit with another misdemeanor when they catch me. That's exactly what the intent is.
And didn't you talk yesterday in subcommittee about how when the alarm is triggered, it disrupts the entire store, and gave some testimony to that?
And justifiably so. The honest people in the store trying to, be good citizens are alarmed, and they take off. And to me, the bigger danger is that when people quit paying attention to the fire alarm going off, is what happens when these doors are quite often triggered. That's even more dangerous when they disregard that. It's like, how a car alarm, you and I hear it, we don't pay near as much attention as we used to because we hear them all the time. That's the fear, that it'll be a really emergency and people won't exit the store.
Representative Gravely.
Yeah, thank you. Have they talked about doing anything regarding, maybe they don't want to, but regarding signage, or is there I guess that would be left up to each individual retailer if they wanted to post some type of a signage?
I guess it would be left up to them. Generally,
Right.
Ignorance of the law is no excuse. So
Absolutely.
just you can't say I didn't know. But once again, they know the word will get out because how well organized these groups are that do the stealing. Like I said, the list of how much to steal
Absolutely.
and to stay below a certain amount is a sign that they know what they're doing.
Hard to push.
Representative Silcox, number
Yes,
3.
Thanks. Isn't it true also, Representative Fleming, that most of the security in terms of the overall security of the shop is at the front door, so they have a better
Yeah.
chance of catching them if they have to go out the front door?
Well, and that's one reason they're using those emergency those emergency and fire doors now is because, you do have security systems and things, expensive things they tag now, all kind of things to help slow this down. And they're learning. I mean, you fix one avenue of the thief and he'll find another, and that's what's going on.
Representative Price.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this really does not increase the ability to apprehend, but rather just to serve as a deterrent?
It will increase the ability to apprehend if, like Representative Silcox says, they get the idea that I don't want to use that back door anymore. But right now, when they do use that emergency door, it's a little easier for them to get away, and that's why they go through it.
But they've been getting away with it going out that door, so
Some have, some we catch. Billions of dollars we don't.
Mr. Minority Leader, who's number 8?
Me.
Okay, I'm sorry. I keep. You actually don't have a microphone, which it's a good thing. So. Representative Kendrick.
So, just to clarify, if I am not shoplifting, but I use an emergency exit, I won't be charged with a misdemeanor, even though it's not an
Under
emergency.
this bill, you will not be.
But period.
Now,
I'm-
are you breaching the public? Are you breaching the peace?
No. What I'm trying to get at is, why can't they already be charged with the misdemeanor if they?
Because it's not specifically a crime, and it's not specifically a misdemeanor to use the emergency room door while you're shoplifting. This will make that such.
But currently, right now, if I'm not doing anything wrong and I use an emergency exit and it's not an emergency, I get no. There's
I don't know
not.
the answer to that. I think you probably would be susceptible to some kind of charge of breach of the peace, but I'm not sure about that. That's a good question. I don't know the answer.
Right. That's what I'm. I guess that's what I'm wondering.
There's all kinds of criminal charges such as disorderly conduct or things that are kind of ambiguous where if somebody used a door they weren't supposed to use in a way that met the elements of something like that. I am not aware of anything on target that specifically deals with using an emergency exit. Can I ask our prosecuting attorney's counsel, are y'all aware of any charge or any codified section of law that deals with using an emergency exit door?
Chairman, the only thing that, and this is wild thinking, but the only thing I can think of, it might be a criminal trespass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's unless it could be described as a disorderly conduct or a trespass or something to that effect. I don't think that it would be a crime to do that. I mean, if you accidentally went out the emergency door, which probably a lot of us have done, I don't think you're going to be charged with a crime for that. All right. Seeing no further discussion, is there a motion? Okay. Are there any amendments? Seeing none, what's the pleasure of the committee? All in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
members of the committee.
Make sure you don't go out the emergency door.
Yeah.
Only if I take your lunch.
Chairman Harden, if you want to come on up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman,
And
and committee members.
Just so everyone's clear, we are on LC 337241 on House Bill 830. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Floor is yours.
All right, this is the dangerous drug update bill. It comes through the GBI to the Georgia Drugs and Narcotics Agency each year for us to update to be in line with the federal laws. For the sections are basically this: section 1, 2, 3, and 4 deal with controlled substances that are in Schedule 1, which means they're totally illegal and cannot be used at all. And there are 4 drugs there. I don't think any of us probably know what any of those are anyway, but federal law, they are illegal. Section 5 deals with a Schedule 2 controlled substance, which is dronabinol, which is what they want to do is to put dronabinol is Schedule 2 already. Now they are going to allow an oral solution to be made of dronabinol, which it does consist of tetrahydrocannabinol, a synthetic tetrahydrocannabinol, which is basically synthetic marijuana. So that is the only change in Section 5. Section 6 is a long list of drugs that only what they are. That's the generic name for the drugs, new drugs that have been developed, and now will be available on a doctor's prescription for a number of different diseases. And I tell you, I looked through the list. Most of them are basically anti-cancer drugs, or there are some specific drugs for specific diseases like osteoporosis, blood pressure, severe asthma. But these are just new drugs that basically need to be added so that now a physician can write a prescription for those new drugs. And then there are a few little cleanup things in Section 7, 8, and 9, just changing a little bit of the strength, if you will, of a drug that can be used. But that's the bill, sir.
Thank you. Any questions by the committee? Is there a motion? Second. I hear a motion and a second. All those are there any amendments? Seeing none, all those in favor of House Bill 830, vote by saying aye. All opposed, like side.
Thank you, Mr.
Your
Chairman.
bill passes. Chairman Harden. Okay, we're going to move on to House Bill 825. Representative Williams.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
And just so that we're clear, we're on LC 297800 for House Bill 825. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My GBI personnel have not arrived here yet, but I'll go ahead and present the bill. Maybe I can answer any questions. this was presented yesterday to subcommittee. This is giving the chief medical examiner of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation permission to inter and disinter unidentified human remains. Most of this is skeletal remains that have been stored at the crime lab for some 35 to 40 years. And most of these are Jane Doe's, John Doe. They have extracted DNA and has that on file. And the object of this is for storage and to go ahead and give these people final resting place in case they're never needed to be disinterred for any reason. This bill just gives them the right to do that. These and I'll be glad to answer any questions if any of you have any questions.
Are there any questions from the committee? Representative Price?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had some conversations about yesterday at subcommittee, and since about a minimum time frame, since what we're talking about here was things that remains that have been in existence for multiple years. But once this is codified, going forward, would there be any minimum time frame? And I was going to propose a friendly amendment that I believe Representative Williams was okay with, or maybe he's had further discussions with others to say 5 years, a minimum time frame before this would be allowed to be done.
Does legal counsel, did you?
Yeah, I had the same question when I first started drafting this, like when is the time? But you have to understand that the phrase peace officer in charge is a defined term, and then the caveat has exhausted all efforts in determining the identity. That's going to leave quite a bit of space for a time period to elapse. And the disinterment's only going to come about if 10 years from now there's a new technology that can be used for identification. But I talked to Dr. Eisenstadt, I talked to the staff at the GBI, and I looked through the code, and I ultimately came to the conclusion that this language was sufficient to get to that point, but the policy decision is yours.
Having said, having worked for a prosecuting attorney's office, there is a lot of time that's involved in this, so there would be, it would be considerable time, and I would hate for, to kind of take that discretion away from Chief Eisenstadt, from, and his staff as far as doing their job. So I think, to me, I'm very comfortable with that, having worked with victims and their families.
Representative Bodie?
Yes, Representative Williams. Now, I just want to ask you this question. Now, this bill will also help Georgia families get closure when we have missing identity cases. It will, I know that's the sad part of it, but it will help in those type of cases where it's been 30, 40 years, someone went by and the family have not seen that person. This could possibly give families closure. Is that a correct statement?
Yes, well, what it does, it's giving them, and you have to realize that most of this is skeletal remains.
Okay.
It's not full cadaver.
Okay.
It could be a skull, it could be just a bone, but they've had anthropologists to go and do the DNA and extract DNA, and it's put into a main base that is shared, worldwide on DNA.
Okay.
And if someone were to petition the medical examiner, to say that I believe that is my relative, then they will go through extensive research to make sure that their DNA does match and that they are indeed a relative of that person and has the right to claim the remains. And then they would, at that point, disinter the remains, to turn over to the family. There is no fiscal note on this. The GBI does have the assets in place already to, perform this. So there's no tax burden, taxpayers' burden, or anything like that.
Thank you.
Okay, Representative Dickerson?
Yeah, would they need, the medical examiners need a court order to do this?
At this present time, that's what they would have to do.
Okay.
But this bill just circumvents that. It saves a lot of time and money for the GBI that they're not having to go get these court orders.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I see no more discussion. Is there a motion by the committee? Okay, is there a second? Are there any amendments? Seeing none, what's the pleasure of the committee? All those in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like side. Your bill passes, and so you can take it to the Rules Chairman office, and congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you, committee, for your help. Thank you.
All right, last bill is House Bill 732. Representative Silcox just confirmed we're on LC 297687. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And just as an introduction, this is a bill that actually passed through this committee last year as a part of a bigger bill and was taken out at the last minute in the Senate, and it created a sentencing snafu that we're essentially trying to restore. But this is something that this committee's already considered. But Representative Silcox, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just bringing to you, of course, House Bill 732, and it really just has two changes. One of these changes is to do solicits or patronizes in the definition there. And this actually is in a lot of states, they have this coupling of these two words. And the reason why this is so important to expand the demand side of sexual slavery really is to allow a lot of these Johns that are not necessarily soliciting someone, but are patronizing these victims through an ad online or what have you. And so I think this is a significant improvement to the code, and improvement in the definition. And then, as Chairman Reeves mentioned, the second change where it says or older is really just a cleanup on the sentencing, because I believe it was the intent of the state legislature last year to make it a felony to commit anyone who knowingly commits sex trafficking act against someone who's in sexual servitude and knows that they're doing that. The age of the victim should not matter. It should be a victim of any age.
Are there any questions from the committee? Seeing none, what's the pleasure of the committee? Is there a second? Okay. Are there any amendments to this bill? Seeing none, all those in favor of this bill vote by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like side. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great job.